You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It certainly is.
Today
I
is
can't
July
complain.
18th, 2017. We are here to, oh, I'm sorry, 18th, day behind. Thank you. We are here for two cases tonight. One is for John Bernard for 215 Laconia Road in Tilton. And the second is for Kevin Legassi for Country Meadows Manufacturing Home Community. I just got minutes of the meeting, so if we want to put this on hold, either until we have time to read them today and vote on them, or to table them until next meeting.
Is there a time limit on approving the minutes?
No, it's not even mandatory that minutes be
Okay.
approved.
Okay.
In fact, I'm not sure why we do it, to be honest.
Just checking your work, Larry.
No, I mean, it, as a, yeah, anyway, there's no time
We'll
limit.
read
They
them,
don't-
and if there's any issues, then we'll come back to you, I'm sure.
You could, and really, there's no need to finalize minutes. We could make corrections and still leave them as the minutes.
Okay.
And then another person could recognize a correction a year from now and still put it in, but it's common for boards to finalize minutes
Right.
for whatever reason.
So we'll put that on, thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Just take them out of order.
All right, so let's, this is case 1707. And it's John Bernard, 215 Laconia Road in Tilton. Oh,
I have it on my agenda, 1707 being with Kevin Lacasse. And,
no, rebar?
oh, what do you have?
I have,
Oh, it's on my desk.
I have, well, this says John.
Wasn't there.
Okay,
This
I really
says
haven't
Kevin
looked at this one.
Lacasse.
I'm trying to read this.
So,
wait a minute.
where's mine?
There's an application
Right
from
there.
John Bernard and an application from Kevin Lacasse.
wait a minute,
You want the
Can
agenda?
we
I'll go
start
first
this
on
off?
mine.
the Lacasse one is for the other one.
All I'm saying is that when I look at the agenda that's in front of me,
Yeah.
it's in CBA case 1707, variance application from Kevin Lacasse.
Oh, so you're saying they're just in the wrong order?
I don't,
No.
don't know. They're in, I was saying that the chairman was introducing it as wrong, but maybe,
Oh,
unless she's
okay,
saying
that's,
something I'm not.
yeah.
So, we'll start with 1707.
Okay.
Name's right. That's okay. All right, let's start this over. So 1707 is Kevin Legassi, correct, Darren?
I think so, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So this is for a variance. And it is to allow increasing the density to 24 cluster lots instead of, I believe it's 10. Well, 10.7, so 11. So is there anybody, is Kevin here?
Yeah.
Yes, we're good.
Hello, come on up.
All right.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm Kevin Lacasse. Thanks you guys for your time tonight. And this is Kent Brown, the engineer on the project.
I'm sorry, it's Kent?
Kent Brown, yeah. So I didn't know if you wanted me to give you just a little overview of the project before we got into the application part of it, or if you want to do the application part first, and I could answer the questions
Well, we have
after,
that.
or-
Let's go ahead and give us a kind of a rundown of
Okay.
what you're actually looking for.
Sure, so I,
You can get started if you want, and we can talk about the.
oh, okay,
The
all right,
houses.
you want to do it that way?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. I wrote this down, so now I have to read it. My name is Kent Brown, from the engineering survey. My firm has surveyed the property, prepared the application before you. represent Country Meadows Mobile Home Community and Kevin Cass. The property that we are discussing tonight is located on School Street and Country Meadows Drive. The property is 35 acres in size and has 34 mobile homes on it. My client is interested in expanding the existing park by subdividing land and creating new development with a separate access off of School Street. The current town of Tilton zoning for mobile home parks will allow for a density of 30 mobile homes in a development. Mr. Cass would like to do small homes in cluster development, which the current Tilton zoning regulations in this zone would only allow for 11 lots. Mr. Cass is requesting a variance to allow for 24 single-family cluster lots to be developed. The only significant difference between the mobile homes and the homes in the cluster development would be full basements, conventional home building materials, and some of the homes would be 2 stories. The homes would range from 1,400 to 2,400 square feet. This development would offer an option to the housing in Country Meadows. We feel that this is a reasonable variance request. So now I was asked Kevin to just be able to kind of talk to you a little bit about what he's thinking about doing.
So, like I was about to say, I bought the manufactured housing community in 2013, I think, and when I bought it, there was only 2 residences in there. So we went in, we fixed it up, paved all the streets, put in all brand new homes in there, and that park has been very successful and it's worked great. We had the surplus land and we were wondering, what should we do with it? So one of the options was to add more manufactured homes. And the other option, which is what we're looking to do today, was to add just a slightly different option from a housing standpoint. Whereas instead of manufactured homes on leased land, essentially for the residents, it would be single-family homes where they would actually purchase the land. And the homes that we'd be looking at doing would be, smaller single-family homes, still kind of, first-time home buyer type market is kind of what we're thinking about. And I didn't have enough copies for everybody, but here's just a sample of some of the homes that we were kind of looking at doing. So as you can see, there's some unique features that are a little bit different from a manufactured home as far as corners, angles, 2 stories like Ken had pointed out to. But as far as bedrooms and bathrooms and square footages and so forth, they're not that different from the manufactured homes that are in Country Meadows now. So that's kind of the plan, and Kent can go over kind of the layout of that if that's necessary.
This is the existing Country Meadows development, as Kevin said, with the 34 manufactured housing mobile homes. And this is the proposed layout for the 24 lots that would have to go to the planning board for if the variance was granted to allow that additional density. And as you can see, this is the lot, for a mobile home. The lots would be about the same size. The layout, these are an old part of the development where the lots were really tiny, but this would be more than 10,000 square foot required now. These lots would be 10,000 square foot, the same setbacks as the mobile home park would have.
The other thing to note too is the footprints would be pretty similar to the footprints in the manufactured housing park. Even though some of the square footages, some of the homes might be a little bit bigger, they'd be 2 stories, so the footprint would be
And
pretty
you can see
similar.
that here, how big that mobile home is compared to this house, but this is on 1 floor, and this would be 2.
There's a question, over by lot 6, 5 and 6,
Yeah.
what is that above it?
We just took a look at how we would do the drainage and where
Okay.
detention ponds and things like that would go.
Okay.
And then all the rest of the land is green space, which could not be further developed beyond that.
Right.
So I'm prepared to read the application into the minutes when you're ready to do that.
Any questions?
Well, I guess when do folks from the audience?
I mean, I guess if, the last meeting, I think you did public comment before having the applicant read the application, so if you wanted to make use of that, that's how, yeah.
Well, I just want to know if you guys have any questions for them first, before we hear from the butters.
The existing development, you've mentioned manufactured and mobile home.
Yeah.
In my understanding, there is a slight difference. Are they predominantly mobile homes or?
Well, actually, mobile home has now really been replaced with manufactured home as far as terminology goes.
There's gray.
Because, you know, I think the stigma of mobile homes was back in, you know, 60s, 70s, before they were built to HUD code. You know, someone could hook up to them with a pickup truck
Drive away.
and drive off of their home.
Right.
It's really not the case. I mean, the manufactured homes, they're very well built. They remain on a steel frame. That's the biggest difference between a single-family home. And they're built to HUD code as opposed to BOCA code, where a single-family home or a modular home would be built to BOCA code. But as far as manufacturing and mobile, there's really no distinction as far as home. As far as, it's really just kind of the same terminology.
So the new development you're proposing, it's all manufactured and not stick-built?
No, the new one would be stick-built. It would be all built
Or
to BOCA code.
modular.
Right,
Which
yeah.
is maybe what your confusion with manufactured is.
Yeah.
Is a home that's built in a modular, stick-built home, not a factory, yeah.
Will there be any connection, a drive between the two, or these two separate communities?
They'd be two separate
Separate
communities.
communities.
Yeah.
What if one of the people in the mobile home wants to build a manufactured home over there?
Say that again?
What if one of the people in the mobile home
Yeah, that's in the mobile home park now, yeah.
decide that they want to convert it to a manufactured home?
Well,
Is that possible?
they are all manufactured homes right now, so if someone would, you're saying if someone in the
I'm picturing a mobile home as something that's got wheels on it.
Okay, none of them do up in there. All the wheels and axles and the hitches have been removed. They're all set up on permanent foundation, so there's not really any way to do
Block
that.
of concrete.
There is a
Slab.
concrete slab, and then there's blocks on the pads that they're set
Okay.
on. That's in the existing manufactured housing community now.
Mhm.
That's the way that they're set.
So I have a question, this is for Dari. So from a zoning perspective, this is rural agricultural, right? And so 40% is the maximum lot coverage by everything on the lot, correct?
Mhm.
So if I understand that would constitute, didn't matter what the spacing was, that I still had to have I could only cover this length lot 40%,
Mhm.
right? So the subdivision, right,
Mhm.
for the new project, doesn't that put the country home thing in violation of the lot coverage thing?
Well, actually, I think that it would not, but we might actually have to ask the applicant.
But am I correct in how I'm sort of reading this chart?
It's a good observation.
Okay.
It's possible, but I think if, you know, I've been in that park, I don't think it's above 40% coverage, even if you draw a line right around it.
The existing park is about 9 acres, and the total acreage for the lot is 35. So
I understand that, but what I heard is that you're subdividing that into a 10-acre lot and a 35-acre lot, basically.
yeah,
And the new subdivision is now 35 acres, but that puts the other one in violation if it's 9 acres.
oh, I see
It
what
put-
you're
you
saying.
see what I mean?
Well, you think that it would put it over 40% lot coverage?
Well, I just did if it's 10,000 square foot per mobile home.
No, it's per mobile home lot.
The homes themselves are
Right.
about 1,200 square feet to max. I mean, most of them are small, most
So-
of them are about 980.
So coverage includes everything, I thought.
No, so
So
like.
so maybe you can explain coverage to
Yeah,
me.
like, if you had a 10,000 square foot, yard, say, and that's your
Okay.
lot, it's a
Yeah.
grass yard, and you put, a 1,500 square foot, manufactured home, and 500 square feet is covered with a driveway,
Yeah.
then you'd be at 20% lot coverage, and so you'd be well within the,
Okay.
yeah.
And it includes the roads though too, right?
That, I can't see
That's
how,
not
'cause that's a
permanent.
structure, permanent structure.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just trying to figure out how to, because that's what I was,
yeah, I mean, you know, I think that's a good question about the road. I think the regulation is sort of oriented toward the single family, or, you know, the single use lot with a single occupant, and it's, you know, I don't know, in a mobile home community, certainly if you said buy mobile home lot and looked at it that way and ignored the road, you said each mobile home lot has to be at 40% coverage. I mean, it'd fine that way. If you took and just said, okay, this is an entire 9-acre parcel of land, or let's say it's 10 acres,
Right.
and you say no more than 4 acres of it can be impervious surface, you know, that's another way to
so,
look at it.
so just in general, how has that been determined in the past?
Well, I don't think it's been, in a mobile home park, since I've been here, we haven't had to deal with that. We haven't had any mobile home
But in
parks.
I mean, any.
In general, you just
You
look
never
at.
never had an issue because,
No, I mean,
Oh.
we have issues sometimes, but it's generally, you're not including the road because the road's not part of the lot.
but it's, I mean,
So
number 4
I'm saying,
says
you're asking how
includes
it's
pavement
generally
and-
dealt with, and I'm saying it's not something we've encountered.
Oh, okay.
In the time I've been here, where we were having to include an interior road in our calculation. We'll look at that,
So it does say
Yeah.
lot coverage includes footprint, pavements, and parking areas,
okay?
just on the chart.
So that's what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so we'll look at that. That's a good observation. I have a feeling that they're under 40% on that. But we'll address that.
okay.
Yeah, but again, we're not asking for a variance for that, so we know we'd have to adhere to that
Okay.
in the future, so.
At the point of subdivision, yeah.
So that'd be at the planning board stage?
Yeah, I think when it gets to be the subdivision, you know, you have to make sure you're not creating a non-conform, neither of the lots being created are non-conforming.
Okay.
So if it's over 40% lot coverage, we'll address that.
Okay.
And I think, you know, that's a good nuanced question of in a case like this, does the road factor in? I think that's good.
Okay.
So going to what we're here to discuss is the new project.
Right.
Only because, as you just said, as this proceeds, the subdividing and that process will be fully reviewed.
I think so, yeah. I think it's a good
Apply to
question.
the zoning,
And so.
other than the variance request.
So do we still base it on the 35 acres then? 30?
That's what this project
32 acres,
is.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, in some way, there's sometimes this, you know, where do you go first, the planning board or the zoning board?
Yeah.
And general rule of thumb is zoning board first.
Right.
But, you know, if they had gone to the planning board first, that would be clear, you know, we'd be dealing with a 35 acre lot, you wouldn't even be considering the other
Right.
portion of it, yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. No, we're good. Do we have any others that would like to speak?
Who's gonna maintain this? He's selling this footprint here, who's gonna maintain the roads and all of
Well, that'll be an association that'll handle that at that point.
It would be homeowners.
It would be a homeowner association that'd be created.
The whole- all of that.
All the people that, right.
Who's gonna clean up our part?
Well, that won't change. I mean,
you dumped everything over in the wetlands.
No,
What was that
if
again?
he presented like, he put in all new homes over here,
Well, I think you were saying that part over there is the older section.
right, the older
and
section,
put
and he
in the
presented to
middle.
you that he had put all new trailers in there.
No, in that section right there in the middle, I think that's what he was stating.
This one here?
Yes.
This one was an old one, and this was an old one, and it's still there.
right.
This one was close. See this little line here? You see this little thing? That's the house that's there. It's kind of over the lot. Out of the lot. This is my problem with Kevin McCass. He does not, he says one thing and does another. That house is not on the lot, it's not, so you, when he starts doing this stuff over here,
Every time
you're
he-
relying
every
on
time
his,
he-
wait a minute, I started talking first.
Okay, good.
We're relying on him to follow through and do what he says. When I bought in here, that's what I was in the assumption that he would do, and he has failed.
Well, does the town, every time you put in a new building, do you tell the town where you're gonna put it?
Absolutely. I do a full building permit, everything is
So I
inspected by
see
the town.
I
and
see his
everything.
point, how come it's not inside that lot?
Those lots, the lines were just drawn by us after. In a manufactured housing community, the land is owned by the manufactured housing park itself. It's not owned by the individual resident. It's owned by the park. So I expanded that area over there because I owned the land, so we built it a little bit bigger, we built a little bit home a little bit bigger. If we wanted to adjust that line over, I mean, we could certainly do that. That was just an arbitrary line that was on there.
So,
So is it sitting out of the footprint of where the mobile home's supposed to be?
No, it's not. It was fully permitted, we
Well,
went through all
he
the
said
permitting
it's in
process and
footprint.
everything, so.
Why would the line?
It's kind of deceiving because you're showing a building that's not entirely on the lot. It looks like it's outside of the lot.
Well, and that plan was just more or less
And that's
designed
probably
just for
more
pictorial.
my fault than anything else.
Okay,
because
so you're telling me
the
it
individual-
belongs inside?
Individual lots aren't like a normal lot that has a meets and bounds. There's a general plan that
is it
describes.
one
the
large
park.
one, or does each person have their own
They
individual?
don't, he owns all of the land.
As one?
Right. Yeah. I'm taxed on all the land, I own all the land that's there, I pay the taxes on
Yeah.
it. And then the owners of the individual manufactured homes pay the
What-
taxes
what is
on the
the
homes
point?
themselves.
Even if it was off a little bit, he's paying the taxes on it.
He's paying taxes on
Credibility.
the home.
Credibility.
I
The
pay
septic system, we have
tax on
problems
the
with the septic
land,
system up
the
there.
residences
And
pay
he
taxes on
wanted to
the.
grandfather, he went and, I asked him what the guy was doing, he said, oh, I'm fixing the leach field. And I said, oh, yeah, he says, yeah, we're grandfathered here. And Kevin McCass knows better than that. Then he tried to do another one, that one, we got the town involved on it, and they came up and looked at it, and he had to retictivate, and I have not got back, anybody got back to me one way or the other. They say it's supposedly all right,
I
but what I'm
understand.
saying is, it's credibility.
I understand that if he had a problem with his leaching field,
He still has.
how come the state hasn't stepped in yet then?
Maybe we haven't called enough.
You have a problem?
I
Wait a
inspect
minute, let
all.
me ask you a question. You
Okay.
have a problem with your leaching fields and septic tanks over there?
Not at all.
Okay. So then, my next question would be, maybe you might want to call the state and have them to go inspect it,
I'd be open and willing to have that happen.
right? So the guy's saying it's okay.
And if I could just add, on the matter of, a potential lot line encroachment or, we have, that, you're welcome to, come into the land use office and share that with us. That's something we could potentially address if that's an issue. We did some work with the applicant recently to sort of clarify where lot lines are, and so please let us know. I'm not sure, I guess my advice to the board is not like to get too far down this road, because I'm not sure. And unless it's a credibility issue that's so substantial that there arises a question of whether the applicant can be trusted for this hearing. I would say it's a matter for another day, potentially.
But we actually have a code enforcement officer. You can address that with her as well if you have some concerns. Kathy Dawson, right?
The health officer and then Al, the code enforcement officer, as far
Yeah,
as
so I mean,
enforcement of
if you think he's
setbacks.
doing something wrong, you can do something about it. I mean, he says there's nothing going wrong, so.
Is there anything else?
So you have your opportunity.
No, just like I said, and I don't think they should put that many houses in there in that small footprint.
Okay.
You know,
That'll be noted.
the idea behind the zoning is to give it some more space and everything like that, and if you make a variance and take it all away, then you've defeated the purpose of why it was zoned that way in the first place.
I would like to know how he plans on cleaning up everything he's bringing in and dumping and chopping trees down. And I know in our park where we're at now, everything's pushed over the embankment into the wetlands or wherever. Everything from cement to trees, everything, I'd like to
That's why
know.
we have a code enforcement officer, Kathy Dawson.
And also, I would say, construction phase procedures are probably more appropriately addressed at the planning board phase, where, if this approval is granted tonight, that will be another stop. So the same abutter notices that went out for this would go out for a planning board meeting. And I'm not saying, that your comment is irrelevant tonight, but I think it's probably even more important that you be prepared to bring those comments to the planning board
Right.
meeting. And I'm sorry, what was your name?
Carol Morrison.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Ben Wadley from, we're also surround this piece of property on two sides. And I'm also a member of the Conservation Commission. It says in the notice that we're trying to follow cluster development. And I wonder where the recreation area that's supposed to be involved in cluster development is.
Question.
It's not designated, it's not provided as yet.
Well, Ben, it would be all the green area. all the
Yeah,
way
but
around.
what you're gonna do is have them run through the woods?
We don't
Panel
have a
the swamp.
plan for the green space, but the green space would be set aside for that.
Well, what are you gonna do with it?
We don't have a plan in place. I mean, that was something we hadn't talked about yet. I mean,
That
would be
could
something
be
we'd
taken up
addressed
to
at
the
the
planning board.
Anyway, this dense of population, we've been around this park ever since they started. And we've had chicken houses on our property. Granted, it was before he owned it. We've had a fire set on our property in the forest before he owned it, I agree. But recently, we've had a discussion about a utility trailer being parked on our property. Well, he owned it. So I am concerned about the density of people that he's bringing in and where are they going to recreate or park their little trailers or the chicken houses or whatever. Because he's in an agricultural zone, they wanna have a chicken house, unless he's gonna put it in these federation development, if they can't have one. This thing has been a constant nuisance to us since it started 40 years ago. Granted, there's been 3 owners involved, but the density is not being decreased. I'll give Mr. Haas credit, he did decrease the population, and we had a lot less problems. But I think it's, the density is in an agricultural zone, and I wonder about, he says lot size, they're gonna be owned by the people. Agricultural lot size is 3 acres. It's just my thoughts, and that I'm concerned about the runoff. I think also, I don't know if he's told you yet, where his storage is going. That's my comments for now.
A lot of good comments.
They're covering. Stick up their nose too.
Yeah.
Any more public comments?
Yes, Dave and Deborah Burnham, on Sage Drive. And he basically brings up the thing of Kevin Lacass's credibility. Well, no one's found that out more than me and my wife. Because he put on basically one of the biggest homes in there and gave me a 26 by 26 garage, which basically the home that was on there before was a lot smaller. He did nothing to the leach field whatsoever. We don't even know if the leach field's in, inspects as far as setbacks. And then basically he went and I told him he's gonna have to do a revision, because he took like 9 feet or so of the other lot. Well, he never did. So the people next to us, okay, bought the house and was under the assumption they had, say, 10,000 square feet. Well, on my thing, when I purchased way before, it did say he had only 10,000 square feet on mine. But if he took 9 feet from that other lot, it was never addressed. And what Kevin promised us as far as what was gonna be taken care of, basically turned into a real nightmare.
Let me ask a question. Are you saying your leaching field is out of compliance?
Basically,
Well, this is real, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not the place to talk about that, because our function is not to determine whether he is involved or not.
Okay.
It's the planning board people, and if you have a problem, we have a code enforcement officer that can address that.
I'm going,
You obviously had to get a permit to put the leaching field in, so there's.
they
gotta
were
be-
already there, sir.
Well, there's a design out there somewhere, because the state has to issue it.
Exactly, but
So-
when this development went into place, the lines and everything,
Yeah.
there is none. Basically, yeah, I'll sell you that thing, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then afterwards, he has a problem as far as now that other people's there. He had to take a corner of my driveway, which I paid $750 to widen the driveway, because he said there wasn't enough room for the manufactured house that he took the land from, okay? So he came down one day And basically, without anything with the town or anything, he basically put a, what do you call it, an addendum on as far as what we had for land, okay? In other words, to the side of my garage, I probably had 3 or 4 feet. He came down and he was only gonna give me 1 foot. You can't even get a lawnmower up there. But he promised us all kinds of stuff when he did it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have anything in writing?
Huh?
Do you have anything in writing?
No, but I can show you the plot plan, okay, of the previous thing, and it shows that that lot had 10,000 square feet, say. When I bought mine, which was like a year before, the lot had 10,000 square feet. So he told me, yeah, I'll build this, no problem, blah, blah, blah. It created a big problem as far as when he was doing his, what do you call it? Septics, like on one, what do you call it? One Astra. He basically put in a septic system with no permit, basically right in, not even in code for the, what do you call it, wetlands.
How do you know that?
Because he just went in front of the board in Concord, and they basically, they called him on it. They put a cease and desist on it.
So Dari, do you think you could get,
You know,
Wait a minute, you have a chance to say something.
you know, I don't want to get in an argument with everybody, but I can just assure you that I've worked with the town, the code enforcement officer, on
Okay.
every issue that's been brought up here tonight. It's all been resolved. I've done everything in accordance with every contract I've had with every one of my residents that lives in there. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I opened the doors for anybody to come and inspect what I've done down there. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy with the job that we've done down there.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there was an existing manufactured housing community prior to zoning, so some of the lots in there are small, no doubt about it. And that's why, with the expansion, we're not making them that small. But because they were so small, my feelings, people might have had a different idea in their mind as to what the reality of the situation was. And then once it was done, there might have been some hurt feelings, but we've worked through all that with the town on every step of the way, and every situation's been resolved, and I open it to any inspection that wants to come in. So I don't, you know, I'm not gonna argue with anybody, but
Okay,
that's my
I'm not
stance.
either.
Hold on.
excuse me, do you think you could get the telephone number for the code enforcement for these people so they can deal with this tomorrow?
I have it.
Yeah, they do know,
Okay.
they do know how to reach out.
Okay?
Excellent.
And another problem we have up in Country Meadows that I don't see addressed in this proposal is there is no overflow park, okay? It doesn't show any overflow here. In Country Meadows, in his rules and regulations, you can't park on the road, you can't park on the lawn, but people don't enforce that. So he got people that only have like 2-car driveway. They got people that park on the road. They got people that park on the other side of the road. God forbid if basically fire engine has to get up there, you can't do it. But the town never addressed that, and the thing is,
The town will address that when you go to the planning board.
okay,
So what we're trying to tell you is, a bunch of the stuff that we're hearing are not applicable to this meeting. It's the planning board. All we're gonna do is either give him the permission or not give him permission. But you can have your day in court with the planning board. This is not the place for this.
yeah, okay. And then the next thing I have a problem with this is, he says he's gonna put so many manufactured, so many stick-built, okay? He said the same thing when he basically sold us the stuff. He said he was gonna have all, when we bought, all owners. Well, the last phase that he blew in, like 12, they're all renters. And basically, that turns around, they don't take care of their property as like we are. So that takes my value. I would have never bought in Country Meadows if it was portrayed the right way. And that's where I think we have a problem with this. He says one thing and does another thing.
Do you have a set of bylaws?
I do, yeah, we have rules and regulations and we enforce them,
Okay,
and some
hold
people
on,
don't
hold
live
on.
those enforcements.
Okay, I just asked you a question.
Right.
You have bylaws, right?
We do.
Does it say that you can't rent your mobile home?
There's no subletting in there, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
And there's no one that sublets in there.
yeah.
He says,
Yeah, but he
No, no,
put
We
it,
own some
He's
homes
not
in there that we do have,
so you have your own, you rent.
Right.
we do rent some of the
He can do
manufactured
that.
homes in there.
Yeah, he can do that.
But as far as this new development, these are not gonna be mobile homes.
Correct.
They're gonna be either stick-built manufactured,
Stick-built or modular. they won't be
Modular,
manufactured
my
homes,
apologies.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and the people are gonna own the land
Correct.
as well as the home.
Yes, and there would be all meets and bounds around every lot, it would be
So
laid
each is
out,
gonna have a
it'd be
deed.
deeded land and all that.
And that will go through with the planning board and code
Right.
enforcement, and
Mhm.
as we move on from this meeting, every other committee will address those issues.
Correct, yeah,
So you're looking to go from 11
right.
to 30, I'm sorry, 24.
24, yeah.
So is each lot going to be the same size? You're saying around 10,000 minimum,
Right.
but they're not all going to be the same
Yeah,
because
there's
it
a
depends on
few
the
there.
side of the house.
Yeah, the geometry.
Right, yep.
Right, the geometry, the layout of the land, there's some slopes and so forth. so.
And each is it going to be town water? Is it going to be septic?
Well, we're still working out the details on that as far as whether it'll be municipal sewer or our community water system. Those details we'll figure, we'll address during the planning board phase. of the project.
Now, I was up,
Sewer doesn't go up there though, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It ends up down here in this development, right at the end of this cul-de-sac.
Which is actually
So that's one of the alternates that we're looking at, is trying to tie into that.
but again, that would be further down the line.
Right.
Right. So I was up here yesterday, or was I? I was down here. This drops off.
Right.
I didn't go through in here.
I couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't get- if I had the jeep, we could have, but no.
Yeah,
I was
it's-
like,
it's
I
pretty
did not
massive.
go
I
through
don't have
here.
my SUV, she's like, do you wanna go through? I was like, no.
No.
We hope it
Yeah,
okay.
So the hill
Does
kinda
this
comes
drop,
around
does
like that, yeah, and
this drops? How-
down to the river.
So how much from the river to here will be wetlands? And this here, I assume, is wetlands as well?
Well, that has to be a minimum of 75 feet
Mhm.
by code.
That's all been delineated, right? All the
Right.
wetlands?
Yeah, so these are the wetlands that located them already.
Right, and this.
Right. And again,
And you're
we're
saying
not-
this here is gonna be the greens,
Yeah.
as you call them?
Well, yeah, I mean, everything.
Open
that's-
area wooded, doesn't matter?
Right, well, a lot of it's already been cut. There is, like logging roads essentially that goes down through there now, so there's access back there at this point. That's been there from previous owners. This area, previous owners had put some stuff out there, so there's some steel frames, there's piles of this and that. So all that'll be all cleaned up and part of the process.
Yeah. Is there any, no, I think that was it. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Do you have any more questions?
Just for my curiosity's sake, on, the lots are all delineated as square footage. What's an acre square footage? I just don't know.
43,560.
So it's just about an acre.
No, bottom of
No, the
10.
minimum lot size for cluster is 10,000, so a quarter acre.
Right. Quarter acre. Yeah, it's just, that's just the frame of reference I.
I know,
you-
'cause I'm like,
everything's
okay,
referred to as acreage, not
44,000,
square
yeah.
footage. Yeah.
Okay. So everything's
But-
quarter acre or larger.
Right, so it'd be similar to like a lot of downtown lots and some older parts of, common downtowns, we get a quarter acre lot, whatever. Just one other, point, may be irrelevant. and some of that's addressed in the application when we get to that part, but at one point, before I owned it, the whole parcel had approvals for 120 manufactured housing sites on
In
there.
all of this.
And all of it, yeah, and from my understanding, the previous owner had given up those rights in exchange for tax abatement, that's why it went away. So obviously, that was a way more density than we're looking at. And then the current zoning for manufactured housing would still allow for 30, so we're even, proposing to do less than what would be allowed under the current zoning regulation for manufactured housing. So it's different housing type, yet still similar as far as footprints and so forth. It's just a different variation from what we currently have in Country Meadows.
Just a point of clarification. On those housing lots that he's speaking about, trailer lots, that included a section that has been sold off and now has houses built on it, across the street from where I am, which is on the other side of the brook. So you can't really continue with that number of trailers, lots, when half the land is gone.
In the new development that he's proposing?
No, he was,
About the previous,
He was
okay.
talking about the fact that there were 120.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to misspeak on that.
No,
or
that's
mislead.
okay.
I wasn't involved with it, it was just a statistic I had heard, I had seen some paperwork on it, but yeah, Mr. Wadley might be absolutely correct on that, I don't know.
Okay, if you.
I'd like to know if basically you could set off giving the approval for tonight, because there are a lot of unanswered questions as far as with Country Meadows and that new park and how much is percentage-wise and everything. So I would like to have all the answers to this before, and I think it's fair, before we proceed and give him the okay to do it. Because we don't even know if the answers to a lot of questions, and it come across as nobody knows them.
For instance,
For instance, as far as the density and as far as the road and all that with Country Meadows, like that gentleman says,
that is not our responsibility. That responsibility lies on the planning board. We cannot speak for the planning board. You understand? Like, let me give you an example. If I'm a dentist, I can't operate on your leg if it's broken, because it's two different entities.
but how
So-
can you give him the okay
We,
for a variance over and above what the town allows?
we're not giving him any variance yet,
Okay. All right.
because we all have to agree on this.
Yes, Harry.
Yeah, I mean, to add, to build on a little bit what Mr. Gonzalo's saying, I mean, I think the unanswered question was the one that Ms. Princiata brought up, which is exactly how does the 40% lot coverage pertain to the lot that would be left over? So, I mean, if that's the only unanswered question, then I think, Nick's right on the money. If there are other unanswered questions, I think that should be revealed, but I don't think that one is a reason to continue the case.
You're gonna have the same parking problems in there.
That's, what we're trying.
Oh, yeah, okay, I
What I'm trying to tell you
understand.
is, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's not our responsibility. There is a group of people
Mhm.
that will really hear your concern and digest it, and they will make it right, believe me. The planning board is here, they're pretty strict. They don't let any unanswered questions go by them. Believe me, I've been there, done that with them. I was on the planning board for several years.
And been an applicant, so.
Yeah, so, they got a good planning board here.
And there's one more question?
I believe in the town regulations, before a zoning change is made, some members of the zoning board are supposed to visit the site. I wonder how many of you have been there.
Done? Alright.
3?
Can I just?
So, as well,
That's,
I drove into Country Meadows and saw it from that direction.
Yes, sorry.
and I think that requirement pertains to special exceptions, yeah.
Yeah, but I
Although
think-
this board,
But no, we go.
We're new, so we didn't know. We didn't know we
Well,
didn't have
whether
to
it's,
go.
right, whether it's a variance or a special exception, I'm gonna go, only because I'm new to this area and I wanna be able to understand and see where it is. I mean, like I said, I did not go into the woods. I
Right.
stood at the outside and said, okay, but I did see your scope of your land.
Based on the amount of ticks out there.
Yeah,
probably
I'm like,
that you
no.
did.
Okay.
Time to get some chickens.
Yeah, no kidding, that's, yeah.
Don't say that, don't bring that up. Okay. Is there any, okay, so we're gonna close the floor for any questions that the butters might have, and we'd like to have a discussion here with you before you read your application, okay? Do you guys have any more questions for these gentlemen? You're good? You do or do not? Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
For the record, I'd like to read the application for a variance into the minutes. A variance is requested from Article 7, Appendix C, Note 11 of the zoning ordinance to permit the density of cluster housing on this property and the rural agricultural district zone to be increased. The density currently allowed is calculated as parcel size divided by minimum lot size times the base maximum residential density. The total tract area is 45.36 acres. The area subdivided out for cluster development would be 35 acres. Of that 35 acres, 2.6 acres are wetland soils. The resulting developable area would be 32.35 acres. The density of clustered lots in the current zoning would be calculated as 32.35 acres divided by 3 acres times 1 equals 10.78 lots. The proposed zoning variance would be to increase the density to 24 lots. Currently, 30 mobile home sites could be developed on this site. Facts supporting this request. 1, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because no more overall impact to land, traffic, schools, public services would be incurred due to the granting of this waiver than would happen if this waiver was not granted and the site was developed as a mobile home community. There would be no increase in density from the allowed uses of mobile home community, and there is currently a mobile home community adjacent to the proposed development. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the proposed density would be no more than the density allowed for a different type of housing. The density for cluster housing in the rural agricultural zone would currently allow for 1 lot per 3 acres, and the proposed variance would allow for 1 lot per 1.3 acres. 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because the current zoning unreasonably excludes a particular type of housing with no associated benefit to the community. 4, if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished because the assessment value of single-family homes and cluster lots would be considerably more than the values of units in a mobile home park. Unnecessary hardship. Owing to a special condition of the property that distinguishes it from other properties in the area. Denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because 1, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because the zoning allows for a much higher density of the project as a mobile home park and a much lower density of the property developed as a cluster development. The site already has a mobile home park on it. The property owner would like to provide housing diversity on the property by building a cluster housing development of similar density to existing mobile housing development. The proposed use is a reasonable one because development of this site is a cluster subdivision, increasing property values, offers a housing option in the in this area and does not impact the land or town services in any greater way than the development of this land as a mobile home park. And that's it. I have a question.
Yep.
You all right?
The difference between, I mean, I guess, I think this goes to the core of what you were applying for. A mobile home park allows for a much higher density. This type of development does not. Why the difference?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, because I think, when you're looking at the decision that's before you, spirit of the ordinance is key. And so, yeah, I've been asking myself the same question. Why? How does it work that it's in the spirit of the ordinance to allow such a high residential density if it's got a steel frame underneath it and it drops so much when all of a sudden there's a full foundation below it? And my thought is simply
Is that true?
size.
Is that true? I really didn't understand the mobile home. You need 6 acres to do a mobile home, right? And
To
then-
have a mobile home park.
Right, isn't that what this is?
No.
Uh,
The country
The
meadows,
pre-
Yeah,
right? That's considered a mobile home park, right? Is that true? Or is
Uh,
that
yes.
considered a cluster development of mobile homes?
no, it's considered a mobile home park.
Okay,
Yeah,
and the zoning's not, the zoning allows for 30 on a tract of land. You
yeah,
have to have 10,000 foot
Right.
lots plus, so you really have to have a minimum lot size of like 7 acres in order to pull that off.
to do the 30, right,
To do the
right.
30.
Yeah,
Plus
roads,
roads and whatever.
yeah.
So, I'm not sure it actually ends up being that much
Well,
different, to be honest.
I think, so,
Based on what we're seeing.
here, we have a cluster development regulation in the zoning ordinance that talks about 10,000, in the subdivision regulations, it
Right.
talks about 10,000 square feet being the bare minimum.
Right.
But then we have a chart, a table of dimensional values in the zoning ordinance that says, you can only have 1 unit per 3 acres in the rural agricultural district.
Right,
But then it allows for cluster development where you still have that same density, but it can be, clustered essentially.
right. And that would be
Now,
services.
so, but I think the question, like, Mr. Engel's question is, I think, what's the difference? Why is it okay to the citizens of the town voted on the zoning ordinance? Why are they okay with having such a high density if you're dealing with homes that have a steel frame underneath them? And such a high density is not allowed if you're dealing with homes that have a full basement underneath them. And I think the first thing that comes to mind, I don't know absolutely what the citizens were thinking of or how it came to be that way, but just size, the belief that the size and the potential occupancy of a mobile home is going to generate less impact than the potential size and occupancy level of a stick-built home. A thought, something that I sort of batted back and forth with the applicant was the idea that, I was sort of trying to suggest that maybe they should put a footprint, a maximum footprint in their application as a way of saying, we're really planning on meeting the spirit, kind of the spirit that was set forth in the mobile home density that, the density that's provided for with mobile homes. So, to maybe use your question as a way to offer a little bit of, my recommendations or thoughts, is that if the board were, leaning toward an approval, but wanted to make sure that the spirit of the ordinance was met and that this wasn't used as an opportunity to put in a density that, goes above and beyond what was intended for that district, it might make sense to establish a footprint, maximum footprint size limit as a condition of approval. The applicant, when we discussed that, their feeling was, well, these lots sort of limit you to a footprint anyway, so they didn't put that in there, but I would encourage the board to consider that, something like, maybe 1,500 square feet of building footprint. The plan is to go up 2 stories in some cases, so it's a decent sized house, but still make sure that, particularly on the environmental aspects, of these fair and the ordinances.
I have a question, you're gonna put a full basement in there?
We would, yep, and to Diary's point, I'd be okay with the limitations that he's discussing, so.
Because if you put a full basement in, people are gonna go down there and they're gonna fix their basement up. And the town's not gonna know it unless they go in there and look at it, and that increases the square footage.
Well, I believe what Diary's talking about is the footprint of it. So even if we went with a second floor, you still wouldn't have any more of an environmental impact or impervious soils because your footprint would be the same. I think that's what we're talking about, limiting our footprint too. And like I said, that was my intention anyway, so I mean, if that's a condition of the board, I'm okay with that, so.
Okay, so instead of maybe square footage, what if we were to do something like each lot be, say, half an acre and minimize?
Can I just ask one more question about the? So which housing is excluded from the zoning?
In the density. the
So it's
cluster
not
doesn't
that,
have
it's
this-
not
not
that
the
a type of
no,
housing is excluded, it's that you,
The density.
all right.
If I could just suggest on that footprint, we also have the maximum lot coverage of the 40% that was brought up before. Maybe that is a way of addressing that, reiterate that as part of the approval, that it would maintain that 40% requirement.
So that's a point, but that's, would be.
Planning board.
But I don't think that would be sufficient.
Right.
If you replaced, a potential condition of setting a footprint of maximum of 1,500 square feet, say, a footprint per building, that provides protections that would not be provided if you replace that with something that says the lot, the lot coverage percentage of 40% must be maintained. There's no way they're gonna exceed that. I mean, they couldn't, unless, if Mr. Brown's talking about going down to each individual lot and maintaining the 40% on those, I still don't think it gets you the same sort of adherence to the spirit of the assurance of adhering to the spirit of the ordinance as that per building footprint requirement would. And, the fact that the applicant has indicated that he's comfortable with that, suggests that it's potentially a workable solution.
Is there any other questions? On the board? You good? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
So do you wanna?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Maybe to do your thing, going around and just asking each member if they feel
All five.
by our variance criteria.
Can I interrupt you? You were about to say something.
Don't ask me, I forget.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's been a tough day. No, I was just thinking that if, instead of going to square footage, that we just focus, I think, a little bit on the lot, each lot size, as whether it's a quarter acre. No, he's saying no.
I'm sorry. Can I just say why?
Absolutely, go ahead, Doc.
I think that, a lot of the benefit of cluster development is preserving as much open space as possible. So by saying we want to double the size of each lot, you're essentially eating up that open space.
I guess my concern is that this seems to be, with 24 homes here, seems to be a lot.
Are you saying to drop it down to 12 homes?
Maybe 15 or 18, something, but 24 just seems like a lot to me. So that's why I'm thinking if we just expand each lot size within this frame,
But I think Darry's point in that if we.
then we don't lose space.
Well, that's the thing. If we say, okay, everything has to be no less than half an acre,
Mhm.
he has more land he can utilize, so he can just keep the same amount of homes and consume more of the land. And Dari's point is, if we do that,
That's not the purpose.
that's not the spirit of the ordinance.
Right.
That's not what we're trying to do.
Absolutely
Yeah.
correct.
So,
So is,
keep it going.
so rural agriculture, this is what I have on my notes. So rural agriculture is the zoning, so the open space. Oh my God, I can't even speak. All right,
The green requirement.
Right, green, right?
Yeah.
There's you want to maintain that, like New Hampshire loves that, right?
Yes.
Loves
Yeah.
open space, loves agriculture, right? So we have someone that says there is no cluster development requires a recreation plan, and like there's no real plan for the recreation area or the conservation area, whatever it is that the gentleman over here was talking about, right? And that's supposed to be there. We don't know whether you're gonna connect to sewer or not. Because you said you were looking at it, and from my perspective, connecting to sewer allows you to increase your, density of your homes, from my perspective, versus being on a septic leach field type of thing, right?
But
Those are like the key things that I thought.
That's,
And again, those things have to be addressed in
Yeah,
the planning
that's-
process. So what we're asking for is to change the density, then we have to go through the planning process and show them what the recreational use is, how much green space, what the sewer is, the water is. It's all sent out for review, it's all worked through in that process. We're just saying, if we came back and because of some reason we said, we're gonna ultimately do 22, we had the ability to do 24. We're just trying to change that density now in this variance. And that's the purpose of tonight. All
Right.
those other things definitely are gonna get beaten out.
Those, yeah, all through the planning process.
Okay.
so we're just here to vote on and ask questions about the density.
Yes.
And to allow him to go up to
Up to.
24 homes.
And so what you're also saying is you may not consume all of that, you're just asking for a total of.
I'm sorry, it's not up to, it's the
No,
total.
it was up to 24,
Right.
but we may
That's
not
what I thought.
utilize.
We'd have the ability to do that if we could
Make it all.
get 24 in there and have the green space required and have the septic issue
And if
squared
we're in the
away and
process
the
of the
water.
planning board, we can't get everything to work and it goes down when it goes down, but
Yeah.
that's.
We couldn't increase beyond that and say, oh, well, it works great, let's do 25, because you guys would limit us at that point with the variance that we're asking for today.
Okay. Okay, last time. Any more questions? We good? You good? We're good. You good? Okay. So let's go around. Swear I took my paper. And go
Do you
over our,
do you need something?
I do, the
What?
variance ones.
I gave you my sheet.
Yeah.
I gave you my sheet. Did you take my sheet?
Do you have the checklist?
My sheet.
Did you take my sheet?
Yeah.
Not the checklist with the 5 questions?
Yeah, there's
Oh.
my copy.
No, not that one.
No, so you, now
No.
I have no copy.
Well, here.
Thank you, I will get you a
Do
copy.
you-
No, not that one.
Well, yeah, but it has the
This-
variance criteria.
Thank you.
Well, those
How
are,
did you get
no.
that? Special exception. I got this one.
That has,
Okay. So let's go through the 5. And we're just gonna go to each board member and instead of each 5 questions to each board member,
Yeah.
just as one. Good.
I think so.
I think that would work for us tonight. Thank you, Dory. Unless you have anything else to say.
No,
You sure?
yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. We'll start with you. So all 5 of you are good with? Okay. Olivia? Are those all 5? You're all 5. And okay.
No,
Yeah.
number 3, I have a problem, so,
Number 3.
but that's all right, that's okay.
I think I have a problem with number 3 and a little bit with number 5. So, who would like to make a motion? To either, oh, yeah.
Since you do have problems, could, let's see here. Maybe just, so what's your concern with number 3?
So, the reason for the variance, to the extent that it's coming, is the fact that it says it excludes a particular type of housing with no associated benefit to the community. So, I don't believe the exclusion exists. There are other options that would potentially be, still meet the spirit of the zoning, without going that drastic, that's all.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with her. I think also on number 5, I think the density is a problem. And I understand what you were saying about the open land, they need that, but I think as far as lot size and particular lots, how many lots there are, in my opinion, it's maybe a little bit more than what I'd like to have in that area.
Realizing that it's a mobile home park, that density or more.
Yeah, I just think if you're gonna put these, and that's what you're suggesting to us, not that you're gonna put in mobile homes, that you're gonna put in individual houses with individual deeds, with individual lots.
Right.
It is just my opinion that I think that the 24 is too many.
They
It just,
didn't say they were going to do 24.
I understand
they
it's
said
up
they could
to
do
24.
Well, and I guess the distinction is that we could do 30 according to the zoning regulations as they are now. If we did those 30, we'd have to do them as manufactured homes.
Right.
So we're saying that it's more or less a discrimination against the other type of house because we could do 30 manufactured homes, but why are we limiting the density just simply because it's a different type of house?
I don't think it's about the type of house, I think it's about the size of the lot.
The
It's the
size
same-
of
the
the
lot
house.
is-
And the size of the house on that particular lot.
But that's why we're saying, I would be open to make, to your point, to satisfy that requirement, we could put a limit on the size of the house, is what we were saying, the size of the footprint.
But I don't think these have the sizes, and you're saying,
Well, these aren't the exact, it's an example of the types of houses, just pictorial to show how they may vary in configuration or whatever from a manufactured home. It just allows for a little bit more design flexibility than a manufactured home, because a manufactured home, you're kind of limited to what you can do with it as far as.
single or double.
Single or double,
Right.
exactly, so it's tough to get like jogs and things just to give them a little bit more
Interesting
aesthetically
roof lines.
pleasing or whatever, so. It just allows for a little bit more different design criteria, but I'm okay with limiting the footprint of it to that of what we currently build for manufactured homes, so. that's the point that we're trying to make in that, is that, you know, the zoning does allow for that many homes currently. It allows for more than what we're asking for. It just doesn't allow for this type of home, so that's why we're saying that it's.
But you're coming to us saying that it's this type of home, not as manufactured, but as stick-built.
Right.
So if we were to vote here, it would be based upon stick-built cluster.
Right.
Could they come back and say, well, we don't want that now we're gonna put in mobile homes and put in 30?
Sure, they wouldn't need to come before the zoning board. You know, I think his
It's
point
already
is,
allowed. It's already allowed.
I think what the applicant is saying is, if the spirit, you know, if the spirit of the ordinance is to allow 30 homes in that area,
Okay.
then, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm hearing anyway. So, anyway, sorry, I wanted to get your, you know, into the minutes,
Sure.
exactly what your, our concerns on those
Okay.
items were.
Dory had recommended 1,500 square feet
Yeah.
for maximum size. You think that's big enough?
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
And that it must meet the 40%.
Right.
Okay.
Which it would.
With that-
More than that at that point.
You're saying a foundation of 1,500?
Basically, yeah.
Footprint.
I mean, footprint, yeah. So if you know, if a bird were flying over and looking down at the roof area, that would be 1,500 square feet.
See the maximum.
Just to give you a sense of how it is, a lot of the homes that are there on, like those 6 over there, are greater than that square footage. And they're manufactured homes.
Okay.
With the garage, you can have the
Right.
double
Yes,
plus the
exactly.
garage, and adds up to 1,679 square feet.
Yes, yeah, 1,800, I think one of them was
Oh,
garage,
okay.
so.
But with this being the potential of 2 stories,
It
you can,
changes it. Mhm.
you can do a little smaller footprint maximum.
So if you have an objection on that.
That's
That
cheap.
was, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. So
Yeah.
if we would like to make a motion with exceptions, if somebody would like to.
Whatever.
I know, does anybody want to start the motion?
Looks like Mr. Engel's working on it.
Yep.
Okay, I will.
Could we,
Sorry.
no, I just didn't know if there was any way we could assist with the, just as far as how to put that in there, but. Excellent.
You know, I motion that we grant the application with the stipulation of a maximum square footage, maximum footprint square footage of 1,500. And I think I agree that the 40% is going to be handled with that square footage. I think the concern about the density of, as it's subdivided, that's going to be handled. Yeah, I don't think we need to address that. So I think the square footage, the footprint square footage maximum of 1,500.
You just add the word building.
Building, yeah, right.
Just so we're clear, because I don't want the planning board to go 1,500 square feet of lot. Just
Okay.
make sure it's just.
So 1,500, a maximum, in this new development, a maximum footprint for the building of 1,500 square foot.
That includes the opening. You understand that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, 1,500, the roof looks like this. 1,500 from here to here.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I mean, 1,500 is
It's
1,500,
1,500.
right?
You got it.
Roof line. on each
Okay.
end.
To the bird.
Right.
Okay, and so shall we vote? No, I didn't think we were coming in. Now I know. Okay, so on case 1707, let's take a vote.
Did someone second that motion?
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
second it.
All right.
Thank you.
How many?
On case 1707. Let's vote on this, please. Approved, yea or nay, as we shall say, all in favor, aye, and all opposed.
Me.
Me.
So 3 in favor, 2 opposed?
Yep.
Okay, so that means the motion carries and the variance is granted.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys' time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see how many. This is just me, Bill?
No, you can have it.
Take it in my papers. In my papers, I can find my papers.
No.
Oh, watch this.
Thank you.
Did you find my
So
page?
tired.
She
I
did.
did.
No?
Sir? This gentleman's right there. He did.
How you doing?
Sir? You have a hat? Yeah, moving up now, moving up the world.
It was approved maybe 3 years ago, and variance have a time clock of 2 years.
No, I didn't.
Good evening. And you were, and John,
I am John.
I was giving everybody. That's Joe. Rough day, I apologize.
Do you, excuse me, do you guys need help outside?
Oh, yeah.
We're here. I can't read this one on the next, on the last one.
This one, oh,
Roland
okay.
Elizabeth, my name is still.
Oh, I thought you were involved in the other one, I'm so sorry.
I know, they were so quiet.
I know.
I know you have. It was very good to me. All right.
Come on up. Come on up. I
I don't dare to come this close.
We're good. Okay, so this is 1708, John Bernard, for 215 Laconia Road in Tilton. Good evening, sir, and thank you for your patience.
One thing I can say is you like building them little buildings like
I
that.
don't know what's wrong with me.
They look great.
Thank you.
Okay.
May I ask that question?
Like, no one else knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Okay.
That's okay, we'll talk about it.
What other building? I'm new to the area.
Well, he has actually 3 of them that look identical. One has a, like a,
Chiropractor.
yeah.
Raw Life
Where
Cafe.
are we? Where are we
So,
driving?
Okay, if you are going up,
Senior
Route-
center.
if you're going up Route 3,
Mhm.
there's a little, you know where that, there's a head shop over there?
On the left?
That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
mine.
That's not it.
Oh, okay.
His place
I don't
is
know it
the
then,
3
yeah.
buildings before it, and almost, you know where the senior center is? You don't know where the senior center is?
I am not, no, thank you.
Well,
We weren't trying.
it's only about a quarter of a mile up the road, left-hand side.
Yeah.
And it's, and he does a good job when he does stuff.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you.
All right, thank you for, oh, what?
Can you remind me, we have to go over those changes to the rules before we leave?
Oh, that's
I
right.
know we're all
Yes.
gonna wanna go running out of here, so.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll remind you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Dory.
All right, thank you.
It's only a good meeting when they go running out screaming.
No, we'll stay. Okay, so, Mr. Bernard.
Yes, so this was approved in 2013. In 2013, when we got a variance, it ran with the land, it didn't change. The regulations have now changed, the variance is only good for 2 years. I wasn't aware of that, but it happened. But anyways, I went back into a planning board meeting, and they advised me that the regulations have changed. They had extended it for, I have 5 years on this with the planning board, but I still have to come back on the zoning board because now I no longer have a variance with this.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna read to you some stuff that I spent some money with an attorney do when I went for the first variance, because I'm refused to do the same thing over again, because all I had to do was print this off, hit a button and charge me, so. Yeah, so we don't wanna be attorneys now, right? All right, so the test for a variance, the granting the variance would not be contrary to, and I'm only reading this for the records, but you all have in front of you. Granting the variance would not be contrary to public interest, because under the current law, the public interest and spirit of the ordinance criteria are considered together. Public interest is not advanced by denial of this, because the neighborhood has developed intense commercial use and few remaining residents, other than my friends over here, Elizabeth and Roland, who live next door. Everything else has been converted into commercial use. So it's not contrary. And the other thing is that because it is in the general commercial district, you're not allowed to do a single-family dwelling, so the only thing I can do in this district is commercial at this point. So there's no, like, you're not missing the spirit. So no public goals, specific or general, are satisfied by a denial of the variance I'm requesting. The goal is increased setbacks is to provide privacy and buffers to the abutting properties and the site distance along the street. The paved parking areas and driveways will have no impact on the site distance along the street due to the design of the parking area. I'm going to jump down to 2. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because what we have. Paragraph 1 above. This is what an attorney writes, right? And you see above. Substantial justice is done because justice is not served by denying the use of the setbacks for paved parking area or access. At one time, paved areas were considered part of the setbacks. I think that has changed in this town since then now, because I've been to other developments where they do not consider the setbacks. So this is kind of old data that we're reading. I think Derek can attest to that. It's just buildings now, not property.
You look really
So the
confused.
setback
Well,
is from the pavement. Yeah.
We've changed it again.
When did you?
I'm asking for a variance in case it ever changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant, I think, to what's
Yeah,
happening
okay.
here.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
yeah. He's asking for variance, so it's covered either way. Yeah.
Okay.
The regional commercial district, which this is in, is designed for large-scale retail and service uses as restaurants, accommodation. This is in keeping with that. Best of our ability. 4, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished because the purpose of the use is consistent with already developed in the area. If you go to that area across the street, you have Wisquam Auto West. Next to it, you have he sells caps and some trailers. And actually, I should say, this property too, right now, is currently being used as an extension of the caps that are being sold there. But as of August 1st, he'll be leaving, so just so you guys know that.
They're very nice neighbors, they're very quiet.
Yeah, that's what we like, quiet neighbors. Literal enforcement of the division, number 5, literal enforcement of the divisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship because, and then we can get into all the hardship, but basically we're gonna take a look at this lot. It's 108 feet wide. The side setbacks in this area are 50 feet. It leaves them with 8 feet to build on. This is specifically, in my opinion, why the zoning board is here. You have a particular lot that cannot be built under the criteria, and the only way that someone like myself can get relief from that is by coming to the zoning board. So, in my opinion, this is exactly why the zoning board was created, because there are lots like this existing, and they don't fit into the normal cookie cutter regulations that we have in place. I really don't have a lot more to say about it. I don't think I really need to say a lot more about that. If you look at this plan, you'll see this little area here, from here to here. That's where I would be allowed to build, in that 8-foot.
We see that?
Sure. Be happy to show it to you. This is where it goes. So if they went with what the laws say, you see this dotted line here?
So you're saying.
Goes all the way down through here. That's the only buildable area on there, because they're 50-foot setbacks.
You can have one seat.
So you have 50-foot setbacks too, because your lot's right next door here.
Yep.
See you guys? And so you have 50-foot setbacks. You couldn't build your house, you couldn't build your house there now, period.
No,
Because you can't build residential. But the other thing, you'd have to build a very long hallway. Those mobile homes would come in handy with this. Right. Little levity always helps the day. So basically, you're just reapproving something that was already approved by the zoning board. There was never any problem with it. I went to the planning board. The planning board has all the information. Well, I won't get into that because it's for them, and I understand what you guys are talking about. You're here.
Thank you.
Yes. And so I'm asking for relief from the setbacks and for the building to be allowed because of the nature of the land.
And I just
Creates a
have
hardship.
one question.
Yes.
Do you have enough,
It's on the plan, I know you don't.
I know.
Right on.
Where's their home? Where's their home?
Over here.
That's,
This is their house. That's their house?
Yep.
All right, so
Okay.
this is the one that, just, I had a question, this is the one that, when you sent out that email that, from the conservation board,
No, I don't think that had anything to do with
no,
this.
but it just, I was looking at the picture and here's the dumpster rental and snow removal and runoff and all that stuff, like where you put snow and that stuff. No, I was just wondering, does it pertain, does any of that, do we have to consider any of that?
The thing that you sent us today,
The thing you sent us today
Yeah.
at about 2:00.
I don't think so. The person who asked me to send it to you might, I think the Conservation Commission wants boards to be aware of their function and this, what they do.
Okay, all
I
right.
think that was the main point. Honestly, I think,
And literally it says dumpster and conservation
oh.
thing
so
has
that's
the word dumpster
Yeah.
on it, and so I said, okay, maybe
This-
I
no,
should.
I don't think so.
Coincidence,
Yeah.
that's okay.
I honestly, I think that, that email is more relevant to planning board matters.
Okay.
But I think, again,
Just for
it was really in the spirit of just, get everyone on the same page, being aware of everyone's function.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know this has to go more to the planning board, I understand that. My concern for these people is that if we do, that you have enough room here to put up the trees, the barriers, so that they don't see the headlights, they don't see all the lights shining. And I understand that's more planning board.
Right, but I would like to speak to that,
Yeah.
because the way that this is designed, if you look at it, the lights never shine at their house.
Can people come in? and-
Yeah, keep
Okay.
looking at it, go with it. So,
Mhm.
and that's actually part of the presentation that was in here. If you come in and you see how you pull into it, and then you back out and go out this way, see how the lights never really
Yes.
shine on their house?
Mhm.
So this is one of the reasons why I developed this way, and didn't put it in the middle, because then you would have, we were trying to be very kind, and they've been excellent neighbors, and I wouldn't want to, disturb their peace and quiet, which they deserve. And in this, if you read it too, we have a hedgerow that goes down along, it's 10 feet wide.
Right.
We'd probably put, in which I just planted a whole bunch of the other day, were Canadian hemlocks, which should really make it very nice
Yeah.
year-round thing. So that's already taken into consideration, but I appreciate you saying
Yeah.
that. I mean, I like to hear what they have to say. once we get-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will.
I mean, with the last people that owned the house that originally was there, I finally put my foot down and I put a really thin rope line all the way down the property line, because she was plowing her snow halfway up my house, off of her lawn, in her yard. And I said, that's your millennial present, lady, knock it off. Well, she didn't, you couldn't have loved this. The young man that plowed her yard, he said, now don't aggravate the lady next door, she can be really bitchy about snow going on her property. We knew the guy that was plowing the yard since he was this big, he said, I understand. So he told us later when he met us, he said, I almost laughed in her face. I wasn't bitchy about it, I said, I pay taxes on it. And they wouldn't clean up the chunks of asphalt and everything, and I was, I said, I've had enough.
I'm with you, man, stand up for your rights, your property rights.
So you got any concerns for it?
You know, as long as we get a good hedge fence in there and that was
So,
our,
the hedgerow you spoke about, is it a year-round?
Yeah, Canadian, yes, sir. Canadian hemlocks, I don't know if you're familiar with those.
No.
I think they're called conifers. They're an evergreen tree.
Okay.
But they're really tight packed. I just
Okay.
planted, I think it was 25 or 30 on my property, and I can't believe how they grow. I mean, the thing about the Canadian hemlock is it grows from the ground up, where the other type of hemlocks, like eastern hemlocks and stuff, they
Grows from
grow
the air
up.
down.
They grow up, but those Canadians, don't watch me back there. But the
I
Canadian,
know they're mature when their roots touch the ground.
those are the right ones you want to plant, so
How big
Maybe
are
plenty
the
of
trees?
year-round.
All the way from the
That's
ground.
all right.
That's the
Say
ground.
those are so today.
All right.
100 feet.
Oh, okay, so they're
Sorry, John.
considerably,
Crazy.
okay.
Yes.
How big are the trees gonna be that you're gonna put in to start off with initially?
7 to 8 feet tall. They get any bigger than that, you can't really lift them up and move them around and bury them. I just did.
Well, I didn't know if you were gonna show up on some teeny boppers.
Ah, one of those guys. No, they won't be teeny boppers. I know, they're called 6 to 7 foot high. When you dig the bowl, you put it in, they're about 5 to 6 feet. Within a year, they'll be 7 to 9. And you actually, if you don't start trimming them down, they'll grow 100 feet tall. They're big trees. But the beauty of the Canadian hemlocks is that they grow from, they give you coverage from the bottom up. They don't grow up and the branches grow up,
It protects all the way up.
Yeah,
That's
it does.
good.
It really
That's
does.
good.
It's a sound barrier too, actually. They're really good at that.
That's what I was just gonna ask, any sound issues?
I
noise
think that
issues?
really covers the vehicle lighting and noise. How about parking lot lighting, illumination at
It's
night,
always
things like that?
downcast lighting, and that is a big stickler for the planning board. When you get in front of the planning board, they always say, what type of lighting are you doing? And you have to say, I'm doing downcast lighting. Nowadays,
I'm doing that.
Been there. Okay, all right.
Okay.
so, and again, that not,
And the
I
county
know you've been
people,
through this, but
many times, but that's a
Few
planning,
people.
that's a
Yeah.
planning board issue, not a zoning issue. But you can bring it up because you know what, you guys just whatever. you did
And the,
last month.
and the cat people don't have any issue?
yeah, the cat people, they're moving, you said, as of August?
No, the trail is at
The
that
trailers,
park.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
moving on. He sells trailers there.
Yes.
I lease the space to him. He's
Trailer's not the cat people.
the same thing.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
cat and trailer people.
Yeah.
He said cat people, I'm like, I'm thinking, what felines?
No,
What am I
cat.
talking about? But no, he does
Caps.
caps and
Okay,
trailers.
and he's leaving.
He is. He is actually, I've had another August. He's on that
He's
property now.
leaving.
He's got a
So
trailer.
this,
That's really annoying.
he already occupies
Is
this,
this-
he's
he's
just
leaving
leasing that.
Oh, okay, I
So
thought
he's
he was
leaving
leaving
from
in
this.
entirety.
No, he's just
Gotcha.
moving from my
From
lot,
that,
so.
okay.
Which brings me to this place because now I'll do something.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to do.
And so we're gonna give this to you for 2 years?
No, I'm actually, you can do it for 5 years. You can do it for 5 years with a,
Do for 5 years, you okay with that?
they can do it with a, condition that says that it can do an extension for 2 years after that too.
I think the board, the zoning states, and I think same with state law, is that it's 2 years unless otherwise established. So
Right.
if, I think, what was it, you guys recently did an approval where you extended the, to 5 years.
5
It was
years.
for
Eric.
the Gaslight Village.
Yeah.
Yes, to give them time to develop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was a similar instance.
Yeah, they had to come back or something like that?
Yeah, where they were essentially seeking a renewal,
That's
and they
right.
didn't want to have to go through it a third time.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that one was 5 years, I don't see any reason why the
So
board
this will be up to
shouldn't.
5 years. Do you think you can get it done within the 5 years? I'm just.
Is that a poke at me?
Absolutely it is, sir.
I hope so. I hope, once again, the town has a relationship with me, and I think the things that I do develop, I tend to keep them up, and I take a lot of pride in what I do, so, once I start it, I'll complete it, you'll be happy that it's approved if you so
And I'll
choose.
just- Okay. New to be in a nice place. Okay.
You know, 5 guys, they were talking to me about this place, and they went down to the other one. And then I had before that, when I first came in here, I had it's called Reenie's, kind of a cafe, it's called Reenie's, the deli, when they were in New York, and I was talking with them, so something cool I was trying to bring to the area, but I got involved with some other projects and now.
Oh, I just assumed
Subway?
I just.
Everything else is, right?
Also, I get to see deli, oh, must be a Subway.
It was like more like a New York style deli we were gonna get, which would have been really cool.
That would
Yeah.
be- Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you need to add?
You know, we're a little concerned about the privacy fence and.
Privacy and snow. Don't put snow on the property.
Yeah.
Only if the wind blows it, and don't get a big blower over there.
So as far as the project, it's just a hedgerow and that's it, there's no other fence, there's no other.
It'll be tall enough
So it's
to
thick
block
enough,
off.
you can't even walk through it when they get established, they're really
Are you
nice.
doing it on both sides?
No, probably not, because
Just
the other
the-
side is.
'cause that's
it's
all
very-
commercial.
it's not
Okay.
like kids. The only reason we're doing it here is because of the
Residential.
residential.
Right, yeah.
I mean, if they weren't residential, it was another commercial lot, probably wouldn't do it at all, nobody would
Right.
care, but this was just for their.
No, that was my
protection.
concern with them, and that was the only issue
It's
that I
actually
had,
even
so.
in the.
Yeah, it is.
I did, but I didn't want to bring it up and mention it,
No,
so.
sure.
I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you own that, the old Benson's car lot down there?
I don't, but I know who does, about that erosion, yeah.
What are they doing back there?
There, looks like auto service going in, they're putting in another used and truck lot.
Could be kidding.
No, they're
It's
growing.
commercial, they're not coming in front of us,
Oh, okay.
all right?
I was on, actually, before I came here, I had an extra 10 minutes.
I
was
can't be any
driving
more
through it.
blunt here.
That's a nice
We need to
lot.
finish this.
I brought you all donuts too, so
Sorry.
everybody can enjoy it. You didn't have
Oh.
to, we got
You
donuts.
didn't tell us that an hour ago.
Oh,
But I was
I've
like,
already been-
there's
Hey, I'm
donuts
trying
over
to
there, I've been
sweeten
eyeing
them
those for
up,
the past
baby.
hour, she's like,
You
oh,
wanna run these meetings?
Disregard the gifts.
The alternate one.
He was eating already. Okay, so, let- so we don't have to go over each five, we're gonna do this again as.
Well, he's read his five,
Yes,
very
he did.
quick, we got
Yeah.
that.
We had
I would say if you went
superposing
around the
floor.
table.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you went
so
around the
let's
table.
start. You good?
Yep.
Good?
You look at me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
You
I'm
good?
I'm good.
Good? Good. I'm good. So, can we make a
I
motion?
make a motion that we provide the variance with the addition of 5 years, allowing for 5 years.
Addition of 5 or?
No, a total of,
Total.
sorry, a total of 5 years. Anybody can rewrite that any way they want, so that it makes sense.
Total 5 years.
Make it match the last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Copy.
I second that.
So, on case,
All in favor?
yeah, on case 1708,
8.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yes.
Thank you.
We need more of these.
Amen.
I know. So, we're gonna go in and talk about it, we're gonna talk openly about it.
We can just talk openly, yeah. Yeah, so it's, I really just need to read the 5.
Is that a copy?
For the
No.
Say no, you don't get it.
Yeah, I have 1 copy.
All right.
I was
Or
just
2
thinking
copies.
about the private.
Email it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, so, same here.
This is what we.
Can I just start those?
I didn't want to.
These are from the last one though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same, they're in the minutes.
Yeah.
If you go to the last page of the minutes.
Noise and no animal life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you guys a handout, so let's, you want a hand up? Here we go.
Oh, no, that's my piece of paper.
Yes, I returned it to you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I got these guys.
Last page.
I'm making life miserable.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? You gotta do it for somebody. No. You were good to me, Roland. Have a good night, folks.
Alright, if you go to the minutes, it's the last page of the minutes. But it's the same as last time.
It's because we have to read them.
Yeah, we have to read them at 2 successive meetings prior to the meeting at which we vote to adopt.
So we're gonna vote on
Oh,
the
okay.
Next time, yeah. So, the proposed changes that everyone agreed with last time, I'll read them again if, so hopefully everyone still agrees with them, and then we'll vote on them next time. One is to insert, an appeal section, and that, in my mind, that should be just above the last section of, existing section amendments. And it should say, appeals to the board as authorized by RSA 674:33 shall be taken within 30 days of the decision appealed from and not thereafter. All right, we're gonna change the meeting time that's established in the rules of procedure on page 2 from 7:30 to the 6 PM that it's been ever since I've worked here.
7:30.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Can
sleep
you imagine starting at 7:30?
No. Change the time frame for ability of notices of decision from the, wait a minute, one of these is wrong. So 72 hours to 5 business days, and change the requirement that minutes be ready from 144 hours to 5 business days, and those are both in keeping with state statute.
So it's 72 and 144, not,
Change, yeah, I mean, those are just clerical errors in the minutes essentially, which I'll,
oh, do we down to?
so, well, let's just, so those are the 4.
Yes.
Are we all still on board with those?
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
all right, so that's good. And then, yeah, Chairman, I can turn it back to you, but it would seem to me the next thing would be the minutes.
Oh.
If you want to do them this time, I realize I literally just handed them to you before the meeting.
Actually, I would like to read them and then we can do it
Next
next
time?
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. I already found an error, so, or that error.
Don't make me read them now.
No, right,
Okay, good.
don't,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
I'm saying it makes sense maybe. Considering that I just at glancing at them, I saw an error, maybe it makes sense to.
I'd fire you, but we need
All
you.
I can only say one thing.
Yeah,
This guy,
it's on the ball, man.
he's more than on the ball.
Thank you.
There definitely, there has never been anybody as smart as this guy in the town of Tilton.
Thank you.
Aw.
Thank you.
What does he want?
Wait a minute,
Um,
India.
You want my donuts is what you want.
The entire town? No, it's just the way it is, you know?
Let me figure it over.
It's good to have a good
Very
moderator
intelligent.
and a guy that knows almost everything on both sides of the table, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, you're pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
it makes it,
Thank
it
you.
makes
I
it,
appreciate
it makes
that.
it very easy for us
go.
to
I
make
like you,
decisions.
Stop, we got to
Thank you for your
No, I mean-
guidance, Dari.
Ah, thank you, thank you
When I-
for putting up with me, because I know
When I
I
first met him,
I
you know, I quizzed him with,
was gonna say, he and I have had some good back and forth
yeah,
over the years.
we've had, not really battles, but disagreements.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we always come to terms,
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
No fist fight, we appreciate that. Apparently, it happens around here, so it couldn't be their fault.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
I need a second, please.
Second.
Vote with your feet. Vote with your feet.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Have a good evening.
See you later, Gary.
See you, thanks a lot, appreciate it. Have a good night.
So what, you coming up for a variance or a special exemption or something
Well,
like
I
that?
have, no.
I guess I just wonder why you were sucking up.
I go in front of the planning board.
Oh, okay.
And
these for the
even
past
though
hour.
I've been
And it's like,
on
you
the
think
board,
I'm kidding, that whole time I was like, there's
I know, I just have.
I
Oh,
got
really?
that, there's a,
That's why they do it.
a car